Hello, everybody, and welcome to Time Capsule here on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. It is the show where we travel back in time to your favorite years in gaming and show off awesome speed games that were released in the same year. I'm your host, as always, Smooth Operative. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, we are dialing back the time machine a very small amount with speedruns of 2021's Inscryption and later the PS5 exclusive title Returnal. But of course, before we begin, let's cover a few announcements. First off, AGDQ 2023 online prize submissions are open from now until December 30th. So if you are interested in submitting a prize to the marathon, go to gamesdonequick.com for more information. And also, game and volunteer submissions for Frost Fatales 2023 are open now until November 26th. And you can find information about that also gamesdonequick.com/framefatales or at the GDQ Twitter to submit your games and volunteer applications. Now then, our very first game tonight is Inscryption, which is easily one of my most played games this year. So I'm very excited. Please welcome Berserker. Hi.
Hey, I'm Mike, aka Berserker, and this is Inscryption. There's a lot of different things going to be going on. I'll try to explain as best as I can as we go. And yeah, whenever you're ready.
For sure. And we are going to do, it's kind of like a short tutorial before the run starts. Is that
That's
right?
That's correct, yes. So
okay, yeah. So
it will look like I'm playing the game, but the timer doesn't actually start until after the tutorial. This is a completely fresh file, so ignore the fact that it says continue game. When you start this game for the first time, you can only continue game. There is no new game option.
There you go. Inscryption.
And that. Okay, so this will take like a couple of minutes, and I guess I can explain as to why this is even happening in the first place. It's more of a historical reason than anything else. When the game first got run, there was a seeded category, but then we found out later on, quite a long time after the fact, that the seeds in this game, they didn't really work randomly. They were just they were based off the system clock or something. So unless short of everyone with the same seed running with the exact same system clock, it was never going to work. So we decided to nix the whole thing. But by that time, the damage had already been done, and so now all runs have to start after this tutorial section. It was a little awkward to find out, but short of retiming everything and resetting everything, this really was the best option.
Yeah, sometimes you got to experiment to see what's going to work. So there you go.
Okay. So, won this match. The one will be easy. It says, let me record you a story. And then we will be ready to go as soon as I click on the first thing after this statement. So, I'll give you a countdown. You ready?
Oh, yes. Please do.
All right, then. In that case, we go in 3, 2, 1, go. So the first thing you're probably going to notice is that I'm going to be clicking through things quite quickly. And one of the reasons for that is there's a lot of clicking in this, a lot of clicking and text progression and stuff. And as a result of that, as a community, we decided that it was okay for people to rebind their keys using Joy-to key and set them to not so much auto fire, but to fire, well, automatically. This means that we can probably prevent and stave off carpal tunnel and make it so you don't have to constantly hear keyboard clicks throughout the entirety of the run. Now, fun fact, this fight is a lot slower in my version of the game because I don't do a particular glitch because I run on current patch, mostly out of my own personal laziness. Things are going to be moving quite fast, so I will explain them as and when I can. Got to just open the safe. That is always the same code. Pick up the candle and sit back down. So the aim of the game right now is to lose as many times as possible, plus setting up a few things for later on in the run. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is setting up an initial death card. That card is always the same, so we always pick that one up. And then we have to combine a couple of the cards that we picked up along the way. So combine the adder, combine the wolf cub, and now we have a funky looking wolf cub, which has a magical death touchy thing on it. That card itself is not relevant exactly, but when we die, we'll be making a thing called a death card, which will include those sigils, and those are the sigils we want. So, didn't get an RNG time save there, that's okay. And so now we just got to die as quickly as possible. Do that, one more hit, and down we go. Leshy, this guy who's opposite us, he's very disappointed in us. We died. Oh, how could we? Canonically, you have to die at least twice before the game progresses. So we try to set up as much as we can within those 2 deaths and then see what we can do to carry it through into the end. The RNG in this game can be quite savage. Worst case scenario, I do have a save file backup, but hopefully we won't need that because there's a lot of things we can do to build on the way and try and get the solution we want. This is actually the bad card selection RNG, so I need to pay more attention to what I'm doing, and that's fine. And because you guys just watched the Mario, there you go, it's called Orb. You get to name that whatever, you don't even have to name it anything if you don't want to. But have some fun here with the names. And we're back. So, second death. The aim here is to set up what we call a totem. The totem allows you, and I'm just going to use these. The totem allows you to apply a effect to all creatures of a certain type. In this case, we're going to be doing something to our squirrels, which are the things we're picking up out of that deck. We have to purposely lose once more. And then when we stand up again, after the candle goes out, he'd be like, oh, wait, I forgot to put a thingy on the table for you. So, this is the second time we are forced to stand up. And we go and pick up this chatty Cathy. Unfortunately, we can't avoid picking this card up. It is completely irrelevant to the progression of the game, but you have to pick it up. Madness must end. You pick the key up, put that in the bureau, pick up your figure, and go back to the table. This card is always a cockroach, so we pick that up. That one's a safety strat. You don't have to pick that one up. You can go a bit more risky with it. Now, this is the first time that the RNG might be bad for us. It is not bad. That black goat, that is actually perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. And hey, we got 2, so we can go slightly faster as well. Okay, that was the scariest part, honestly. Like, that's the part where the entire run can break very quickly in, and I'd have to switch to a save file immediately. But on this particular occasion, I don't have to. So we are trying to lose this fight again, except we have to do it in a very specific way. We have to get down to low health. Then we have to play the black goats that we just got. And most importantly, we have to sacrifice a black goat. This allows the effect to be put into the pool of our totems that we can use to buff our cards. And that means that as long as we don't use any other cards, we're basically guaranteed to pick that effect up. Okay, it's a lot of information in a very short period of time, but at this point on, it does slow down a little bit. The opening of this game is very fast and it's very, very optimized.
I had a very quick question for you. So
Of
we're
course.
noticing that there's no game sound, and I'm wondering if that's like intentional for the run.
No, there should be game sound.
Okay, interesting. It's up to you if you want to mess with it, but I don't want to interrupt your flow, so it's up to you.
Okay, well, that's actually the correct RNG on that one. Tell you what, I'll try and see what's going on with the GDQ1. I'll try to see what's going on with the sound in a moment.
Sure thing.
No, I don't think we need to start over. I don't mind spending a bit of time on that. Unless you'd like me to start over, of course.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Okay, so next thing we want to try and pick up is a card from a certain tribe, which is not there, unfortunately, so we go for... That's not a good one. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to pick up a symbol called Bifurcated. Bifurcated allows you to... Sorry, I just got to do these puzzles. They're always the same. Bifurcated allows you to take one attack and split into 2 attacks. We actually want to ignore the first 2 puzzles there. And pick up these things. That's a caged wolf, which we need for progression of the game. And then we pick that up. So we can apply an ability to all of our squirrels. That one. Okay, so now we're trying to win. And winning is not necessarily easy when the game doesn't want you to. So we're going to have to try and do our best at this point. We should be able to get through this fight even with potentially bad draws. But what we're hoping to see is that wolf, because that allows us to play that. That gives us a bit of more power on the board. And we're trying to win these as fast as we can. That gives us 5 damage. And the idea is you always want to tip the scale over to the full hand right-hand side. Goes over to the left, you die. So if they do 1 damage to you, you have to do 6 damage back to them, and so on. So once again, we're going to try and look for a particular card, which gives us bifurcated. Again, it's not in this pool very helpfully. So moving on. The key to winning fights here is to be able to do 5 or more damage in one go. At this point, we don't care about any of these totems. And moving on. Okay, not a great start, but we'll do the best of what we've got. In answer to that question in chat, how important is it to get extra teeth? You want the exact opposite. Getting extra teeth is slow, and you actually don't want them. We're going to go that way. There are 2 things in this game that it really hates, and that is... Oh, that's good. GDQ, yay. 2 things this game really hates, or at least the speedrun really hates, is capitalism. No, we actually don't want to do that. We want to do that. Capitalism and rabbits. That might not make a lot of sense, but later on you'll see exactly how much this game dislikes rabbits.
We will get there.
And, okay, get GDQ down, which is actually a surprisingly powerful card, because it only costs 1, does 3 damage.
You named it that, huh?
I did name it that.
Nice.
Okay. Got to get through this mole, which jumps in front of everything you attack with, which is very annoying, but that's the win. Yeah, teeth are great in casual play because it allows you to buy stuff, but just like these pelts here, you don't want them. They just clog up your deck. You just don't want them in there. They're not generally very useful. Okay, this is actually one of the fastest events in the game, so you want to take that whenever you can, especially because it doesn't particularly matter which ones you take, because you've already got the totem that you want. And we're into first boss. There is 3 bosses in Act 1. Act 1 is the scary act, because while it is not the hardest one, it is the one with the most punishing RNG. Is there going to be stimulation? Later, yes. That'll make more sense later, I swear. Okay, we actually have a really good start here. So, we do that, we do that, we do that. We use these pliers, that's 4 damage, that's 5 damage. Boom, round 1 over, and he doesn't get his whole mechanical shtick in play. Now, quite importantly, because the GDQ card actually has this symbol on it, it's unkillable, which means it comes back to our hand when it dies. This means that once the board gets reset here, we can draw a squirrel, play GDQ again, and now we have a 2-turn win here, which makes this fight actually very fast. Ding, 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 and dead.
Nice.
Okay, after each boss, you get to choose a rare card, and these can make or break your run. This is actually one we want in the middle, Long Elk, which is a very disgusting card if you actually use it. And not because the card itself is good, but because the sigils on it are good. We want to do that trick that we did before. Okay, we want to go right after this. We want to do that trick that we did before, and we want to take the sigils off of that card and put them on another one. The card in particular we want to put that on is the Stoat. We want to take that one. None of those were great. The card in particular we want to put them on is the Stoat, because there is an internal exploit in the game, which is actually intended, but it doesn't come up very often in casual play. You have to kill that for progression reasons. That doesn't come up in casual play all that much, but it allows us to have that Stoat in our hand in the final fight of the game, which then allows us to make the final fight very quick and quite easy. Once again, we have to be able to put those sigils on that card, though. And if we don't get the chance to that, that's the RNG making a mess of things for us again. Oh, good, it's in my hand. All right, that's not what you want. These cards are good for the sigils, but you never actually want to see them in play. Okay, there's GDQ there, that's good. This might be a lost fight. I'm going to try and win it if I can, but I might have to lose this. There's a face now. Yay. Yep. Wasn't a lot I could have done about that. I could have done that once to the left, put GDQ once to the left, and then taking damage, receive damage. Either way, I was going to die there. So it's okay as long as you don't die twice. This was not an intended loss. One cost is generally better than two costs.
Yeah, sometimes the totem battles are just really tough.
They are, yes. Sometimes they just don't give you what you need at all.
Exactly.
Technically speaking, this is not an auto-clicker I'm using. It is a method of remapping, which is allowed by the community well within the rules. So I assure you, I am not cheating. I promise. Okay. That's going to get blocked by that. That's going to do one more damage. Should be able to do 4 damage as soon as that flips over. So bang, bang. Exactly 4 damage. Next fight. Okay, if we can get bifurcated here, that would be great. Unfortunately, no. So we're just going to take the strongest card we can. We're going to go a bit safer and go for items because we haven't had any for a while. And not having items is scary. So we want to grab that, ignore that, grab that.
Yeah, don't want to mess with him.
don't take Goobert. People laugh at me when I take Goobert by accident.
Oh,
He's adorable, but he does
well.
he does kind of. He does mean well, but he is not super useful to the run. He's fully about the lore. And I could have actually ended that sooner by using the pliers. Oh well. It's fine, I can still do it. Got 4 damage. Using one of those pliers there just so I can open up the opportunity to get more items later. At a certain point in the run, you will be forced to take one particular item, which if your items are full, then doesn't really matter. Man, I mean, adders for days. Never get these things normally. Okay, more. The items I'm getting are not amazing, but they are fine. They should be able to carry me through all the same. Normally I wouldn't be picking up as many items as I am, but for safety purposes, I'm making sure to pick up as many as I can. Because the game becomes a lot safer as soon as you do that. Okay, we don't quite have a one-turn kill here, but close to it. Unfortunately, you want to try and kill this guy in round 1 so he doesn't get his old mechanical shtick off. But unfortunately, we didn't have a choice in the matter. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't quite get this going this round. But we can use up one of our fans just to get it out of the way. And we'll be able to get that on turn 2. And dead.
GG, that was, I think, our second boss.
That was our second boss of 3 for this act.
Yes. Which means we get to pick a new card.
We do. We get the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros keeps
Nice.
its power and increases its power every time it dies. And it keeps its power throughout the entirety of the game, which will come in useful later if I manage to upgrade it. Yes, that one. We do like a grizzly bear around here because it's very powerful, and because all of our squirrels are worth 3 blood instead of 1, they're actually quite easy to put on the field. Next up, and okay, we've got the moose buck, which is not ideal, but we can try and make it work. Use that to get the extra damage we need, because then we can use this squirrel here, play the otter, and go. Later on, if I get the chance, I'm going to try to be cycling that Ouroboros. Oh, finally, bifurcated. Normally you try to get that on map 1. This is map 3.
We'll take it.
I will. Although, if I get any sacrifice at this point, I have to give it to the Stoat. So, Might not actually get to play with that. Let's find out. RNG has not been super fair this time, but we'll see how we go. Okay, we can work with that. Yep. Okay. Totem fight done. Sometimes the totem fights are very fair, and sometimes they hate you. Sometimes they just decide, no, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, the RNG in this game, I feel, is very unpredictable, but, we do what we can.
Yes. Okay, we're just trying to get rid of a card here. Something we don't particularly want is this River Otter. It just allows us to just bin a card, get rid of it. Let's go that way. Probably going to head towards more items.
Have a quick question from chat. What do you think your playtime is on this game?
I've done over 400 runs myself, and the run itself is about an hour and a quarter long, so quite high.
So you do the math. That's a lot. About
it is a lot, yes. I might lose this one. It's going to be tight because I've got a lot of things I can do about it. Oh yeah, that's what Long Oak actually does if you use it. It starts to make vertebrae, which is very pleasant and not disgusting at all. Okay, I should be fine now that I've got the bear down. The grizzly. Okay, let's go for items next. I could have gone to the left and maybe... another one of those. Could have gone to the left and maybe made another one-turn kill card, but I'm going to go a bit safer here because RNG has not been very favorable. That third item doesn't actually matter because now we have to stand up, come over here, put this statue, which we freed earlier, in this little device, pick up the dagger, get back to the table, because you have to use this dagger for progression purposes. Now, if you thought it was gross earlier when I was pulling my own teeth out, wait for it. Because this is about to get even grosser. If you are squeamish, I would say look away at this point. Okay, not terrible. Put that bad boy there. That, not what I meant to click, but that's fine. Yeah, there it is. And that's an eyeball. Canonically speaking, you have to cut out your own eye, which is great. Okay, round one is down. And we'll see what we got. We do have a fan in reserve, so worst case scenario, we can use that. And I think for the sake of speed, we will, because we can just do that. Pick up a squirrel, put that, not that, that there. Fan's in the dark somewhere. And away we go. Boss 3 done.
There you go. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Not stressful at all. And we took the Uriuli because with this setup we can potentially actually summon it. It's very expensive otherwise. Okay, we need to take an eyeball because we lost an eye, so we've got to stick one in our own face. But hey, now there's a secret message. We actually get to continue the game. So at this point, we have to go to the next map. This is the 4th map. And we have to stand up one last time. Come over to the cuckoo clock. And we have to open this thing up. Normally, we'd have to open the top section as well. But because we have the Ouroboros in our deck, we don't need to do that. Because opening the top gives us a ring. And we don't need one because Ouroboros is a ring. Okay, item's not great. This one might be a little bit, might be a bit rough. We'll see. Items aren't great, and I don't have a stoat set up. Normally, we'd try to put Death Touch on a stoat here. So when you get the stoat down, it would have Death Touch and would immediately kill anything that it touched. This includes the final boss. So it's very useful to have, but we don't currently have that set up because RNG was not favorable. So We'll be able to do it. We've got to do it the old-fashioned way. Like that. There we go. So we've got one boon. This allows us in the next fight to draw 2 cards every turn. We have the Ouroboros, counts as a ring, which unfortunately we weren't able to power up during Act 1 because, again, RNG was not super favorable. And this allows us to choose which card we draw. You might notice I'm moving quite fast forward, and that's because same trick as before, mapping joy to key. So I'm using a controller for some of the movement. A lot of stuff gets messed up if you do it fast enough, and that includes a lot of the stuff going through fade outs. So you can actually move while the camera's not switched on, essentially, for a lot of the time. Okay, what's my first hand going to be? See, normally the stoat would be there with Death Touch, and this would make things a considerable amount easier. Oh, that's not a good hand. All right, let's see what we can do. Okay, let's get us I have no one-turn kills. Let's get us that and a squirrel to go with it. Put that over there. RNG is a bit rough. You're not actually supposed to see this part of the fight. Supposed to kill it before this. In fact, I'm tempted to reset. As in just reset the fight. Let's do that.
That's fine.
Just quitting out and resetting the fight. You're not supposed to see that part, and that was pure RNG doing that. So I have to do this again, unfortunately.
Nothing that could be helped, really, unfortunately.
Absolutely not. Okay. These should still be the same. If I do fail this fight enough, I do have a save backup, like I said. And there's the Ouroboros, the ring again. Certain times in the game, the RNG gets locked in. And so if you have to repeat stuff, you can just do it from memory. Okay, he's going to say how I got 2 boons into the thing again. Okay, see if it behaves this time. Sometimes the RNG of these fights do reorganize between resets, so that would be very useful because that first hand was not good. I can play it slightly differently though, so hopefully that knowing what is coming up if it is the same. Unfortunately, it is the same, so I can put you there, you there. And by putting the Death Touch on the left instead, it means the first thing that Mole Man hits is the Long Elk, meaning that those 2 get the hit off first. Now that's Amalgam's going to come down, deal damage, but not a lot I can do about that. However, that shouldn't be a problem because if I pull this out and one of those, put that there, do that. And that gets through the first round. Again, unfortunately, we're going to have to do this the long way because the game was not very nice to us. I wanted to make sure I left the space open. Oh, hey, there's the orb. And we will actually win this. We've got the setup enough that we will win it. The problem is it's going to take a minute to do it.
You got this?
I do actually have this. It just doesn't look like I do randomly.
Well, it's a lot of cards to sift through, so it's like I feel like I need to shush.
No, it's fine. They shouldn't have anything else to play. This part of the music you don't normally get to hear. That was terrible, but it was fine. GDQ lock.
There's always a little bit of that.
And now he's saying how the moon's great, but it's not giving me value. Now it's on the field, and that's value. Okay, so... Oh, that's not what I meant to pick up at all. Meant to pick that up. So now we can go put that down on the field there, pull that, put that there, put that there, and bong, dies. While it did have a lot of HP, doesn't matter. It's dead now. Okay.
Very nice, GG. So that's
Act 1 is done.
Yeah, basically the end of Act 1.
Yeah, okay. So that is the part, that's the choke point for runs there. Oop. That's the choke point for runs there. If a run is going to die, it's usually in Act 1. There is one more major point of RNG later, but it won't kill the run if you don't get the RNG. It does, however, make you lose 2 minutes. Oop. Don't want to watch Lore. Lore is slow. Go through here. He'd like lovely meat cake. I'm sure we'd love to take a bite of that. But no, thank you. Instead, we go here. We pick up this camera, which is on this shelf. We nestle our cursor neatly between his bosom. And we grab the new game button. We quit out to the menu. This is an intentional quit out because now we can go to a new game. At which point, the game changes. The game, canonically, it resets and goes back to what it's supposed to look like. And at this point, we're just going to be skipping through a cutscene. This is the fastest way you can do that. It just goes over how the lore of the game and how in the beginning there were scribes and they made cards and therefore the world was imbalanced and the like.
It's a really cool game. You should play it.
Mm-hmm. It is very cool. If you're not rushing through it all, the lore goes very, very deep. And unrestricted, for the person asking in chat, it just means that we're allowed to use some of the glitches which the no major glitches category are not allowed to use. Okay. And you'll see the major one later on. We always have to pick up that deck because it's the fastest one. Build the deck. And here is a safety strat, definitely, which definitely be fast if you didn't take that clover. But everyone does, including the world record run has that clover in it because it makes such a difference. Because that allows you to mulligan your hand once at the beginning of every fight. And it's very important to do that sometimes. And I didn't get the good RNG, but that's okay. If you get a card there called Bone Heap, then that allows you to essentially skip 2 minutes of gameplay. But now we have to work ourselves into a position where we are now building enough foils, as they're called, to actually be able to purchase a Bone Heap instead. And that whole process takes about 2 minutes. Not a huge fan of this start either. Probably should have rerolled that hand. Oop. Okay, so put me on 1 HP. Thing we need to do here is kill this Bone Heap. Now, fortunately, we do have infinite tries at this. There we go. So the aim of this fight now that we've killed all of the opponent's stuff, is to overdamage by 5. Well, overdamage by 4, do 5 damage on the last hit. Which should be doable if the draw here is good. It is. Cool. So we've got them down to 1 HP. We kill everything else. Play these. Break them open because they're little Easter eggs with skeletons inside. That's 1 damage left. 5 damage in total. Overdamage by 4. And that is the goal. Now we can take those 4 foils. Even though we do hate capitalism, we do need to use it sometimes. And we take those 4 foils and, oh, never mind. I got the backup RNG. Okay. Normally we'd take those 4 foils and we'd go 2 screens to the left here, or 1 to the left here, and we go to a shop and buy it. We just got the card that we would have actually gone to buy, so we don't need to go and get it. It's that card in the top left there, Bone Heap. So, that's a pretty decent start. Okay. So the first thing we need to do, like before, we need to survive the initial assault from this guy. And then the aim of this fight overall is to do a lot of over damage. And I mean a lot. We need to do about 19 over damage. And the way you do that is with the Bone Heap that we just picked up. The first thing we need to do is make sure we survive these hits, which we are fully capable of doing. Unfortunately, we're going to have to use a Gravedigger on that one. Better than dying. Gravediggers spawn 1 bone every turn at the end of your turn. So ideally, you want to try and get as many down them as you can. There's 5 in your deck by default. And so we need to go up to 40 bones and actually draw the Bone Heap itself. Okay. It'll be in here somewhere. Come on now. There we go. Okay, and we have enough bones as well, so we killed that guy, put that on, just explaining what a active card is. So we want to put ourselves on 1 HP. Or put them on 1 HP, I should say. And then we just hold this button down for a little while until that gets to 20. Does 1 damage to finish them off. Over damages by 19. Technically, we didn't need to do that because we had the 4 foils from the other fight, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like anyway. Skip through some dialogue here. Get some cards which are now completely useless to us. Grab a piece of the epitaph that's down that well, and then counterintuitively leave. You'd think this wouldn't be faster, but it is. Considering what we're about to do, it is much, much faster. Come over here, very familiar looking safe. Open it with the exact same combination. It's always the same. Come through here, and we actually will go to this shop. At this shop, we'll buy 1 Ouroboros and a ton of squirrels. We come in here, and we talk to Leshy again, Pixel Leshy. He gives us your camera. He allows us to take pictures of things. So at this point, it's like a puzzle. We have to completely rebuild our deck. Yep. You take a picture of the dog. We give him food, give him a picture to the dog. This guy's like, hey, where's my dog? Oh, you found it. Yay. There's picture proof of him. And in this fight, we use the... Ooh, not that hand. Okay, good. We use the properties of the Ouroboros to our advantage. By placing it there, we set ourselves up properly. We purposely kill it, and then we skip 3 turns. And now we have everything we need to play the Ouroboros. Kill it. Play it again. And win the fight. The Ouroboros keeps its power up. It gets a power up every time it dies, and it keeps it between fights. So the idea of this act is to try and get that to the point where it can 1 turn kill everything. And then just play that on turn 1. The trick is that the way you draw cards in this game is not random. At least not in your first hand anyway. The game will always try to give you a playable hand for your first hand. This means by emptying your deck of everything except 0-cost cards and an Ouroboros, you are guaranteed to get a bunch of 0-cost cards and an Ouroboros in your first hand. The 0-cost cards themselves are randomized, of course. And so that does come into play a little bit because sometimes you'll need a skeleton, most of the time, you'll need a skeleton in your hand just to finish people off. There's a very good reason why we don't just put it up to 5/5 immediately. And that is because at certain points, the Ouroboros will die as in scripted fights. And we don't want it to go over 5 because then it'll do over damage and capitalism is slow. It would give us extra money. We put that there. And then if you like rabbits, you should probably look away because, whoops, it's dead. See, I told you this game hates rabbits.
Oh.
It's not even the first time we're going to dislike the presence of rabbits. Next part comes up soonish. Okay, this guy is actually a choke point for casual players because at this point he turns into a shop. Oh, sorry, he turns from the shop into a fight. That is a good hand. We always want to make sure there's a skeleton in our first hand so we can play the 4/4 and the 1/1 and kill. Until you beat him, you don't have a shop anymore. So, yeah, it's a bit of a choke point for casual players. Now we come over here. She's like, you beat all my dudes. I'm going to fight you now. Okay, there is a very particular strat here and that isn't it. There we go, that worked. Very particular strat here. What we want to do is, because again, there's scripted deaths in this fight, we want to make sure that that skeleton dies, and the whole point of a skeleton is it doesn't attack and then dies. And because we also did 5 damage, we progress to phase 2. In phase 2, it uses all the things that he's taken pictures of and makes a bunch of amalgams. However, because if you only have one thing die, which is the skeleton, it defaults everything to a 1/1 with no abilities. By always putting the extra card in front of the coyote here, we make sure that we set the board up exactly perfectly. So after this next turn, we can just end the round, 5 damage. Boss 1 of Act 2 is dead. Okay, there is an intentional quit out coming up, which you have to do fairly good timing. And that just skips some lore and stuff. Don't accidentally hit new game there. That's a deadly mistake.
It's really easy to do.
It is very, very easy to do. It does give you a warning beforehand, but don't just autopilot onto yes for that one, as I have done before. Okay, now we're just going to be clearing up the rest of Grimora's section. This second section here, that will do fine, because while that is not a skeleton, it does still have the ability which allows us to buff it. So that can do the 5 damage we need. Move up. Grab another pack of cards. These cards are completely useless to us. We only pick them up because we have to. Grab that on the way past. If you stand in these places in very specific locations, you can open them without being directly in front of them. Okay, now here's a glitch that I never get right. So, Royal Scurvy Cure. Sawyer. Hungry Dog doesn't hold a grudge. And... I got it. Nice. Okay. You can actually overlap a bunch of animations there to make them play out ahead of time and on top of each other. And it actually saves several seconds if you do that. And I was actually a little worried about that one because I've been missing that a lot in practice. It is a very, very specific timing. But I managed to skip a bunch of dialogue. Okay, this is a scripted kill. And also, bad word. Sorry. Should have given you more warning about that. Very bad word. I know.
It's fine, it's fine.
You're all scarred for life, I'm sure. I know I am, every time. And the fight's over. And now that's a 5-5. We're now... Each individual fight from now on is literally going to be a case of playing that card and winning. Okay, I'm going to try and do another glitch here. It involves a lot of mashing. Missed the first one. Okay, I missed it. That's a shame. Okay, you can, if you time it exactly right to the frame, you can do an intentional quit out there, and it skips this entire thing. You do have to play it later, but it allows certain elements to appear in front of others, and allows you to move around when you should be picking up cards, and it becomes very, very janky and fun looking. Unfortunately, I did miss it. So skip that, and out we go. So this has to look like the normal way of doing it, which is sad. Saves a bit of time when you do that way as well. Yay. These pillars are always the same. Oh, go on. Didn't want to pick up the forward movement for a second there. And now the next 3 fights are literally just play card, play Ouroboros, win. Because we are now perfectly set up to do this. Oh, I assure you, there's plenty of jank later on. You don't have to worry about that. Plenty of guaranteed jank. And next fight. Now, for those who were asking to be stimulated earlier, I know that sounded very strange, but the next fight, there is plenty of stimulation in it. You'll see what that means in a moment. But for now, all we do is 1 card, 2 card, 3 card, win. Get some dialogue, some cards which are completely useless to us. We'll never look at them, never even use them. And up some stairs. And here, you guys ready for stimulation? At last, stimulation. This guy is very, very keen to be stimulated. Unfortunately, it doesn't last very long as we just do the exact same thing again. And it's done. Get some more useless cards. And up we go to the boss. Third boss of Act 2. Magnificus, also known as a talking bush. Okay, so the ideal here is we're going to draw a bunch of cards. We want all of them to be squirrels and none of them to have rabbits on them. This is the other part of hating rabbits. That's unfortunate. It's just faster if you get squirrels, but no rabbit so far. If this is a rabbit, it's not a rabbit. Okay, we did not get bunned. If it's got a rabbit symbol on it, then when you play it, you have to draw another rabbit, which then has to get painted. It wastes about 5 seconds each time it happens, which is unpleasant. And no secret backdoor bun either. And the entire tech of that fight is just don't play in front of the big beefy thing and you'll be fine. Yeah, get some more frankly useless cards. It would be at this point that we'd have to watch the cam work stuff and we'd be able to move around while these cards are on the screen. And unfortunately, we didn't get that skip earlier, so unfortunately, we have to do that the normal way. Come down here, drop down this hole. And go up to the final boss, PO3. Go in here. He's like, oh, your deck's terrible. Go and do some puzzles. I'm like, okay. These puzzles are always the same, but they can be a bit sticky. So sometimes things get put in the wrong place or they won't get off of your cursor or something like that. If you do that fast enough, you can actually walk on nothing. But I messed up the movement a little bit. Okay, and once again, we go 1, 2, 3. The sticky cards there, you seeing? Where it just didn't want to work one time. Yeah, the movement in this section is a little bit janky, as I think it's by design. Because it's meant to be like an old-style RPG. It doesn't make it easier to speedrun. This puzzle is very awkward. You've got to put that there, that there, that there, and that there. Very awkward to do that one quickly, and I do not like it. But it's fine, it's done now. This guy is like saying, let me out, but we then beat him anyway, so I guess he doesn't have to suffer for long. Okay, put you there, and go. Okay, so the next fight, I'm going to do 2 more puzzles, and the next fight is the hardest fight in the entire game. So I'm going to have to be quiet for a moment just to concentrate. That there, that there. But first of all, we've got 2 puzzles. Put that there, that there, that there, that there, and we're done. Down the hole. And we talk to this guy down here. Okay, quiet time. Oh, we won. Okay. Oh, that's so hard. That fight is actually impossible to lose. Even if you play anything on turn 1, it will be like, I don't want to fight, and he just gives you the win. So I just lied to you, essentially. And I don't even feel bad about it.
We'll forgive you this time.
Okay, so we've beaten all his minions. We go back in here. We try to go to about there-ish to try and line up with the door. Okay, the entire tech of this fight is the conveyor belt system. So it's very important you put the Ouroboros exactly there, specifically there, because then after this fight, he does a thing where he does a thing where he copies one of the things on your field and he puts it in all of his. However, unfortunately, the conveyor belts work against him and he goes around and leaves you a space to hit him, at which point this goes up to a 6-6, which is why you want this to be the last fight. And that is the 4th boss of Act 2 done. Now he's got to go end the act. Get some more useless cards. And out we go. Oh, nudge the door a little bit there. That was a 0.1 second loss, I think. Like, oh no, the horror. Okay. So going from a fight that's impossible to lose, this fight is actually impossible to win. So technically speaking, this is the hardest fight in the game, but because it's impossible, so to speed things along, we just concede immediately. You can fight that a little bit, but it just wastes time. Also, apologies for the volume here. There's a bit of a volume warning.
We're still on the no volume right now. I think we just need to go into OBS and check that the game audio is selected.
It is actually selected. Hang on, let me...
Yeah, you might just need to check in OBS, that's all.
It's just not working at all, huh?
And if you need to close the Discord stream, that's okay too. I don't know if that's messing with it or not.
I don't think it should do. I don't know why it's doing that. Right. Very helpful as I try to fix the audio issue. OBS has partially crashed, so I still hope you can still see me.
I can see you, yeah.
That's good. Okay. Tech issues like to happen to me, so here we go. So this first part of this act is what we very affectionately refer to as the boring four. And the reason why it's the boring four is because it's the only part of this act that actually looks kind of normal. So it's just going to look like I'm losing for a little while, but that's okay. You basically want to lose until you're ready to win. And we just end the turn a bunch of times. Ideally, you want to not do any over damage, but because of the RNG of the way things were laid out, we didn't have much of a choice. Okay, we are going to be skipping through a lot of dialogue. You might notice that these things that are on the sides here, these are upgrades. We're not upgrading because upgrades are stinky and we don't like them. There's actually no point playing anything there because it'll just immediately die. Pick that up, play that over there, play that there. Can't play that, that's fine. Clear out their entire board. Grab that, put that there. That's in the way, unfortunately, so we can put that there. And we try to do 0 damage because any over damage takes extra time. If you don't do any over damage, it just carries on. Go past all this, ignore that. That's an upgrade. We don't really care about it. Go down to the third fight of the boring four. See how the RNG does in this fight. This fight can either be very, very fast or very, very slow. And it decided that it wants to be very, very fast, which is quite helpful. Now that comes down, that breaks. We do that, put that there, that there. Minimize over damage as much as possible. And that's fight 3 of the 4 down. We skip past a bunch of stuff here. There's actually a secret path here that not everyone knows about. Lets you get around one fight here, which we don't have to do. And this is the final fight of the boring 4. Realistically, these fights aren't particularly boring. They're just not silly fun.
The game does kind of change a lot throughout the different acts, so...
very much so, yes.
Yeah, it takes a bit of adjusting, but we're doing it.
Let's put that there. And gonna need to use the hammer here to put that there, kill that. That kills both of those, so we don't have to worry about them. And then don't over damage too much, or at all, preferably. So we just shoot the railing. Okay, that's the final fight. Managed to avoid an RNG thing there, which is pretty nice. And then the game once again goes back to this previous mode and forces us to stand up again. Except this time, if you tried to stand up before this, you weren't able to. And just to prove this isn't a task, you're gonna have to do some captures. Like I'm definitely not a robot. It's okay, we got the battery for the game. Now we can go back and play the games more. Okay, so when someone was asking earlier what makes this unrestricted, you're about to see it. Things get a little weird at this point. You're not really meant to be able to do any of this. So, easiest explanation of what I'm doing here is I'm overlaying and duplicating events on top of each other. Now, you might be wondering why I'm doing that. And this is like the main tech of this particular act, because as soon as you do that, you get into a fight, you use the event, and the fight ends. That's right, you actually don't need to fight all that much in Act 3 of this game. So the whole thing becomes... Oopsie doodle. Accidentally use an extra one there. That's fine. So the whole thing becomes a routing issue of like trying to get the correct events and use them in the right places, and it becomes a bit of a nightmare for new players, but otherwise, it's actually one of those things that becomes a lot easier than you think it is. So grab this event, and it involves essentially standing up and sitting down very quickly. Come on. There we go. And sometimes you have to shake the game loose a little bit because it really doesn't like doing this.
This looks so bizarre, I have to say.
It's very bizarre looking, and it's like a lot to get your head around. Someone in my community has called this cluttered desk simulator, and not wrong. And boss is dead. I say dead. And now, because we are looking at the gravestones there, our positional data has momentarily changed to that gravesite. If we quit out during that, we go back to the gravesite, and we don't have to do a lot of running. And we also managed to skip one of the, well, not skip, but we had to delay one of those cam work sections we saw earlier with the blue camera and stuff. So now, we go around here, we start an event off here, go into the fight, resets that, slams that down, and the fight is on. Duplicate this event and use it over here to get through that fight. Now, this does break the game quite a bit. Like, if I try to continue on the game at this point, it will just soft lock. So this is an intentional quit out to get rid of the soft lock. But now that we've done that, we can go back down and start breaking the game again. Go down here, and it's like, oh, I needed you to go get a thing to let the game continue on. Like, all right, fine. So we stand up. We go here, and more captures, because they really want to make sure we're not a robot. Because apparently robots can't do basic math. I mean, same, honestly. And sit back down again. Tells you to check out the new upgrades it's given you. We need to change some of those upgrades very specifically to put the odds in our favor. Duplicate that event. Pick this one up. Start this event off and move over to the right. Start that event off, go into this fight. So it's doing the event before we get into the fight to save some time. Want to pick up this hammer and break that to get it out of the way. This is by far and away the most complicated part of the whole run, by the way, because of just all the stuff happening here. Okay, we want this to be the magic upgrade, which it is. Fantastic. So while that's going off, we want to play this here, because we're not actually winning these fights. we're actually ignoring them. We're telling the game's telling us that an event happened, therefore put the tablet back down. So by doing that, we are, oopsie doodle. Come on, come on, there we go. Again, doesn't like doing it sometimes. But yeah, we are telling the game to say, oh, the event's done, therefore we can keep playing. So we complete that event, move on. And as a result of that, we are actually now playing the fight behind the tablet that we are playing at the same time. So do that, moving up. And it all comes down to a case of getting the correct timings on things. So now we actually want to do this fight while we are doing a bunch of other stuff. And then, so now there's actually a fight going on behind the scene there. Pick up a card, put this down, duplicate this event, or store this event, go into the next fight, and we win it before we even start it. Clearing everything off the table. I was going to say, oh, you've been bad, your bounty hunter's after you now. Start that event, go through to the next boss. Boss fight starts. Event ends. And boss is done. Okay, this time we don't want to reset where we are, but we do want to stand up and sit down to make sure the game saves, because otherwise it would actually put us back. We want to quit out again to avoid a soft lock. Unfortunately required. So now we want to grab this upgrade. And then we're kind of racing it a little bit here. We go there, we go there. Because we want to try and get some stuff done before certain dialogue appears. And so then we can pick up another couple of events and store those for later. This is an event we came to earlier, but because we duplicated it, it's still there. And we want to be careful where we click here, go down, and then back over here. We want to come over to this area, select that power up specifically, because we need that for the next most complicated part of the game. This is a very difficult timing, so we press that. That was not correct. Okay. Okay. That is unfortunate. So, we can still get through this. It's going to be a little awkward. So we've got to wait for that. So what happened there was essentially some events went off when they weren't supposed to. And that's because the game really doesn't like you doing this. So if you're not very careful, that can happen. Okay, so we've got 3 here. We're going to have to do some shenanigans here to try and make sure we get through this. We've got 4 there and can't afford that. That comes down, it hits it, but that's okay. And okay, we got through that. That's fine. That was the scary part. Because that's okay, because we've been duplicating events earlier on. While you wouldn't normally do this in a run, this is a backup. So we go, make sure we load that, do that, and go over here and pick up another event. This is an event we picked up several times and walk past several more. And hopefully we won't have to see it again, but if we do, it's there to be a backup. Go back down to this teleporter, come back over here. Do that. Pick up the event. And win that fight. Now that's important because we need to get in here to pick this up so we can progress further. And this is where a thing we actually delayed earlier comes into play. We didn't do the CamWorks thing earlier, but now, so that means you have to do it now. And the game doesn't really like you doing it now, but it will let you do it. So we've got to wait for that. Your memory card inserted. Law, you don't really care about. And then we activate that, move into the next one, and then the timing lines up just about correctly. So as soon as the fight starts, go through a couple of lines of dialogue, and fight ends, boss 3 done. There is one more boss in this act. Normally you'd have to fight these things and it would take forever and there's like mechanics. Oh, whoopsie. I did the glitch wrong, so I just had to quit out to make sure I didn't accidentally use up that upgrade. That's fine. And come over here. Again, there's another like kind of little race here, but it's less required. Go in here, pick that up. Okay, and this is another one where the timing of the game looks a little scary, and it is a little scary, but if you do it with enough confidence, you should be fine. So right now I'm going to pick up a event you can't actually see because it's blocked behind something else. And we are now racing this event because it goes off automatically. That's fine, we made it with plenty of time. So enough time to start this event instead, because this is normally a very, very long event where you create your own card, but we don't want to be doing that. We don't want to be sitting around waiting for that because it takes too long. So we come over here, we're ready to go on that one. And we pick up this. It doesn't actually matter what we pick up at this point. We can trade away our double gunner. It's fine. And then we hit that satellite and the confirm button at the same time. Come over here. Go up to the next floor. And then we hit that trade event at the exact same time that that completes. And it allows us to go through. Okay, the scary part of the run is done now. So we go over here. We pick up this card. We trade it for a sniper bot because why not? We duplicate this event here, pick up that card, and if we time this exactly correctly, we get to skip some dialogue, which we did in fact get to do. Hey, how about that? Activate that just so we can continue on. Duplicate that again, go through here, and then we have some very exact timing. That goes up, that goes down, and fight's over. Now, Act 3 is done. We're now looking at the graveyard, so we want to go back over there now, so we don't have to walk over there manually. So now we're in the graveyard. All 4 of the gravestones are active. Go down 1, up 1. Act 3 is done. Whew, that is the most stressful part of the run.
Yeah, breathe a little bit.
It's just a lot of things going off all at once. It's one of those, if you do it with enough confidence, then you're fine, but it is very scary. Way back when we weren't able to duplicate events, so you could just get 45 minutes into a run and have it die there, which was never fun. Oh
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of us in chat were wondering like how long it would take to do this act without any of the glitching and stuff like that. Well, I don't know if you know offhand.
I do actually. There is a no major glitches category which does exactly that, and it's about 7 to 8 minutes longer.
Okay, that's not as long as I would have thought.
It saves a significant amount of time, depending on how fast you can do it. Like, as standard does that, and if you do it much faster, you can get another couple of minutes out of it.
Right.
Okay, there is a few more movements here, but by and large, this is about 10 minutes until the end of the run, and by and large, it is mostly auto-scroll. There's a bit here. There will be coming up an actual section which is literally 6 minutes of auto-scroll. But we've got a few more movements before that.
For sure.
Game wipes again, and now canonically the game is dying now. And in order to show you that, they have a very, very heavy-handed metaphor. Because when it's unloading, there's a gravestone, which you now need to fill the epitaphs in once again, because we loved doing that earlier. Luke Carter is the canonical character of this game. He's a pretty cool guy, but unfortunately he got into something he didn't mean to get into. You can actually do small movements here before your character appears. Not that you can really tell otherwise. It is faster to fight this guy on the right because even though we're going to be fighting them and it's a completely new playstyle, we're going to be ignoring most of it. You actually want to lose as fast as possible here. So draw, end your turn, and the guy on the right is much faster to lose to because of this 2/3 Bonehound. Okay, so the whole game deletes. Garora reaches her hand out, give it a shake, and she deletes as well. She's gone now. And now we get to see an old friend from about an hour ago, as we are back in Leshy's room. You're also going to see some familiar friends in the deck as well, because it's going to be using the deck that we were using in Act 1 over here. The whole point of this part of the game is to make sure you don't click too much. If you mash too much, you get text which overlaps with some of his dialogue, which is unskippable, and that wastes a fair amount of time. So while it doesn't look like there's a lot of speed tech in this section, there actually is. It's a lot of very specifically timed clicks, just to make sure you don't accidentally overlap dialogue with each other. See, that one was fine, but if I did that again on this turn, it would have had that dialogue overlap it, and it would have been unskippable and would have lost a fair amount of time. And this fight actually goes on for a certain amount of turns after the game is won or lost, so we try to lose it as quickly as possible. When he says the end's approaching, just a few more turns, that means that there's 3 turns left, so that's 1. That's 2. And on this last one, there we go. Actually did get a text overlap there, so the dialogue couldn't start, but that was a more forgivable one. He reaches out his gnarled hand. You give it a little shake. And then we go for a sprint. You can, much like before in Act 1, you can move while the screen is faded to black. The game doesn't like you doing this, but you absolutely can. As a result of which, we can sprint very, very quickly while the screen is blacked out after this code disappears. And we're already at the final fight, and dialogue goes before we can even see what we're doing.
That's wild.
Okay, apologies for the lack of audio here. It appears part of my OBS has crashed, and I can't really do a whole lot about that. But yeah, at this point, It is a 6-minute auto-scroller. Literally nothing you do in this section will change anything. And it is actually in time with the music. So that's why I had to apologize once again at the lack of audio for people.
Yeah, it is a shame because the soundtrack for this game is incredible. So if you have been enjoying the speedrun, I encourage you to pick up this game and play it. But since we do have a little bit of time here, why don't you let us know what got you interested in Inscryption speedrunning and speedrunning in general? Speedrunning
in general, I've loved for years. I've always been a somewhat casual viewer of it. But then within the last year or so, I decided to just get started and get stuck in and have some fun with it. And I started on a different game, but then when this game came out, I loved playing it so much that I just wanted to keep playing it, and I never got tired of it. And here we are.
Was it a difficult run to learn? Like, did it take you a while?
Not really. The hardest part of it is knowing how to deal with situations as they come up. Largely, if you play safely, you can guarantee your way through the run like this. But to go fast is the much harder part. The actual run itself, not too difficult.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were holding our breath watching you play because you have to make a lot of these decisions very quickly. And, you probably have all the cards memorized, so you know exactly what to do for every situation. It's very impressive.
You know exactly what you're looking for at all times. And most importantly, you know exactly what to avoid at all times. There are certain things you never want to see.
So then I wonder, is the community for speedrunning Inscryption very big?
It's not a very big community, but it is a very active one. We have a Discord, which there's a link to on the speedrun.com leaderboards. And we are constantly in there chatting about the games and tactics and things like that. So feel free to join us if this interests you. And we're very open, very happy to help people through and stuff like that.
That's cool, yeah. Now, and I noticed that you speedrun a couple of other categories for another game. I thought it was really funny. Do you want to tell us about it?
Okay, so there's another game out there. It had a minor meme status a little while ago. It's called Only Can's Thirst Date, which is, as the name might suggest, a somewhat questionable game about allowing canned drinks to feel themselves and make just be happy with themselves and show them off and show how beautiful they really can be.
So how does speedrunning something like the Only Cans compare to like Inscryption?
It's very, very different. Only Cans is more rhythmic and trying to get your timings perfect and more about perfect gameplay. This game is more fast-paced and requires a lot more thought and active input. And so,
Right.
yeah, like the other game is fun, but very, very silly. This game is also silly in its own way, but a lot more intensive.
Have you thought about doing other categories for Inscryption?
Yes, but I think people who do certain categories are insane. And I wish them the best in what they do, but I would not want to do some of them. Other ones are, like, I'd happily do no major glitches and stuff.
I guess I wondered like how different some of the strategies and stuff were, but I mean, I guess it's like a totally different run at that point.
Yes, absolutely. There are certain glitches which I did not attempt tonight, which are doable in this category. I didn't attempt them because I'm on the wrong version of the game, because this is the version I run on for the sake of ease. And it would have taken too long to learn them, to learn the new strategies. And I wouldn't be able to do them properly and could have messed up even more. But
it does get kind of wild when you start getting into versions of the game and which one for speedrunning.
Well, that's the unrestricted category. Other categories require you to be on current patch, so I could run the other categories quite easily. But yeah, unrestricted allows you to just do anything. Also,
just a quick switch, I suppose.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't point out about this section, the entirety of the speed tech for this section, there you go. Just putting the cursor in the middle of the screen. That's it. And then you never have to touch the mouse again.
So it just auto fires at that point?
Not quite. You just need to make sure the cursor is in the middle of the screen, and you never need to move the mouse. Because you can also progress the game with the Z button. That's an actual programming to the game. And so as long as the cursor stays in the middle of the screen, it's perfect for the rest of the run. Which will be about another minute and a half.
So I'm wondering, do you have like a favorite deck build or like favorite cards in this game?
Oh, favorite cards and stuff, absolutely. But you don't get to play with a lot of them, unfortunately, for the speed run. For the speed run, you really are looking for one-turn kills all the time. So anything that does 5 or more damage, preferably just 5 damage, or something that does 3 damage and bifurcates, so attacks twice. So those are the things you generally aim for in Act 1. In Act 2, you're pretty much guaranteed to rely on the Ouroboros the entire time. Oh, it's starting to come down to it now, but it's fine. We've got another couple of seconds.
It's coming down.
It's coming down.
And it's really fun because if you do like Act 1, there is an in-game kind of Casey's mod that you can play, which is pretty much just all Act 1 gameplay and a different kind of challenge. So it's really fun.
And that's more randomized and has other different challenges on the way. Okay, so I need to progress through a couple more screens here. So, but then after that, time is coming up.
Okay.
So he crawls towards you, he tries to get a handshake, but sadly, he never gets it. It's very sad. You want to shake hands with a bush, you weren't able to. So we go down here, up here. We talk to this character that you never see in the speedrun of the game. Come down here, you have to wait until she disappears. And as soon as we activate this, time.
Oh, now you can breathe, everyone. It's done.
It's an hour and a quarter of just constant movement. And yeah, this is very loud, but if you're not hearing it, then I guess I'm the only one that's suffering.
Sure. Do you have any like comments or shout outs that you'd like to leave our viewers with?
I mean, obviously go watch me. My name is Mike. I speedrun this game and I play a bunch of other stuff, playing through Pokemon Scarlet and Violet right now, because who isn't doing that?
Nice.
Yeah. I am also on a podcast about the worst side of manga out there. So if you're into manga, check out the Trash Manga Friends podcast. And it's on all available podcasting platforms. This guy right here, Kevin Saxby is his name. He actually does stream as well. He's just on Twitch as Kevin Saxby, I think his name is. So look for him. He's a great guy, also streams. But other than that, yeah, I think that's about it. If you want to speedrun Inscryption, come join us in the community.
Nice. Well, thank you again so much for showing off Inscryption. I love this game, and I know there's a lot of fans in the chat, so thank you all so much for watching this. But before we break, I do want to give a big shout out to all of our supporters. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered here on the GDQ Twitch channel do help support Games Done Quick, both with Hotfix, including this show, and with AGDQ 2023 costs. So please consider subscribing if you do enjoy our live shows, and if you want to follow all things GDQ, just use the command !links in the Twitch chat for all access. But that being said, we will be right back with Returnal, so stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back to Time Capsule here on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. We are all set up for Returnal, so I'm going to throw it over to our runner, and that is Cave. Hi.
Hello, I am Cave, and today I'll be running the fresh file category of Returnal. With me on, with help commentating, I got El Santiago and Lunar Hostility. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hello.
Awesome.
I am El Santiago, mostly in fresh file. Hopefully others.
El is our resident lore master.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, before we start the run, I'm just gonna quickly do a little housekeeping as far as my settings, because I do switch them from the defaults. Most importantly, we switch our dash to L1, our melee to R1. And because we're switching those around, we have to switch our use consumable to either square, circle, or up on the D-pad. I am personally up on the D-pad gang, although I know that there's very big supporters of square or circle. And then in this tab for gameplay, we make our sprint always sprinting, and we change our mini-map distance. That's just quality of life. And then for speedrunning purposes, we change our cycle time to be an on, so that, we got times to look at, and it makes verification easier. So with that, I'm going to restart the cycle, and when I get movement, I can do the countdown.
Before I'm going to stop you there because I want to make sure that the commentators have a game feed.
Oh my God! What do I do for that?
I do not actually.
do I share my screen?
You can share your screen in Discord if you want.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, Cave.
Is that right?
It's the one thing I almost always forget to ask until it's too late. So, thank you.
This is the late night GDQ stream. This definitely not scuffed. Where things are. All right. Am I good to start time?
Yes, you're good now.
Yeah, that countdown been way too quick. We're just gonna run back the restart cycle.
We'll play it again.
Before I start, I just want to shout out Cool Sonic. He's a funny little guy. So time is gonna start at 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Go.
Good luck.
So, Luna, you want to just talk a little about what Returnal is?
Yeah, so Returnal is a bullet hell roguelike. That means that there's going to be RNG involved. There's going to be, in the sense that there's going to be a lot of randomly generated rooms, things like that. That kind of keeps every run generally fresh. But it's very much a fast-paced game with a lot of projectiles incoming, with a dash that kind of gives you enough iframes to be able to dodge some. And you'll see it in action, especially as we get towards some of the bosses. But it's a pretty fast game, lots of fun, and yeah.
Yeah, so off the bat, this run has gone through some changes recently. Even some that we'll get into as recently as like an hour ago on Luna's stream when he was doing a run and I was just hanging around watching. But basically the first change is that during this bit, we actually don't pick up or scan the health. And we're gonna see why in a second, but this run used to not be segmented, but now it is. And that's because we found out you don't have to fight the first mini-boss. Here we have our L skip that she discovered. It's just a quick routing change where you don't have to walk around the whole thing and dash from a higher ledge. L does have 2 other skips, which hopefully we'll see. Although I said that's too many skips to be called L skip, so we had to come up with other names. But, you know, we'll see. Hopefully they come up. So here, what we used to do is we used to actually fight this mini-boss. Now, however, we found out that you can just fall down, and restart cycle. And you'll be able to. I don't have game audio in my ears, I'll be honest, but you should hear Celine say like, "Oh, like something. There's an animal, monster." And basically, what's happening is just counting us as fighting that enemy, and then it counts as a death, which just lets us skip that fight and makes it a segmented run. So instead of fighting that enemy, we just have to run through this room, which is always the same. And here we're going to be picking up our alternate fire. Ellie, you want to talk about alternate fires? This is ad-lib. We had a whole document ready about what we're all going to talk about. But you know what? we can improvise a little.
So basically, alt fires are just your secondary firing mechanism that is more special and has different. I think it has like 8 to 10 kinds of it.
Sounds right.
And usually we have for each bosses the optimal outfires for this one. The upcoming boss, we want horizontal barrage. We do not want shock stream, and we will probably expand on that more as we get and meet more bosses.
Here we have a cool animation skip where if you're mashing triangle as you're falling, you'll skip an animation where Celine will like do a superhero landing, which is just obnoxiously long. It's probably not that long, but it feels like an eternity. I don't know what door I'm going through. But yeah, towards the beginning, it's going to be a lot of explanations. And as we get closer towards like the end of the run, the explanations will slow down because especially in fresh file, it just kind of throws a lot at you because you're not dying and learning things little by little. You're kind of just doing everything at once. But when I said I don't know what door I'm going through, that is because we have door colors on our mini-map, which is part of why we changed the mini-map distance. The light blue rectangle doors are main doors, so those are doors that you go through to progress the story in the game. There's dark blue triangle doors. Those are optional ones, so we will never go through those. Then we have golden doors with like a star over them. Those are challenge rooms. We go through literally one of those, and that's just because it's mandatory. And then we have red boss doors. In biome 1, alright, lockdown please. We got pretty bad RNG for house. In average house is like 215. This is not that. That is one reason I do like the in-game timer. It's good for pacing reasons. What else can we talk about nice and early? I guess we got DMJs coming up, so we can sort of... Oh, here, what I like to do. I just saw the red door on my map, so I know now what teleporter I need to go through for the boss, and just kind of speeds up the menuing. So that teleporter is 5 that I'm going to go through. We get locked... Oh!
Nice one.
Okay, we're going to explain DMJ first, and then I'll explain why I'm so giddy.
Okay. we just got a skip that is very rare to get.
Holy cow. Okay, well, this is world record pace. Well, I wouldn't mind it too much, but this is world record pace now, so, Anyways, go ahead and explain DMJ later.
Sorry, we're very excited that we get that. It's rare that we get that. So, DMJ, as you saw early on when Kate was talking about remapping his controls, we remap dash to L1, melee to R1, and then standard X for jump. That lets us do it easier. We're doing a dash, we're canceling into a melee, then canceling that into a jump. And that's what you see. It looks kind of like a bunny hop or something, I hear some folks say, but basically it just lets you get a lot of momentum, go really, really far. It speeds up makes the run much faster. It's got some tactical uses here and there. And you'll see much later in the run, there are areas with altered gravity where DMJs are going to help even more in terms of getting Celine from where she is to where we want her to go. So it's really defines the movement of fresh file. It's a key component to all Returnal speedruns.
All right, here we have our first boss, Freaky. So to delay the, I know you guys are just waiting in anticipation for why I was so excited earlier, but Ellie, you want to explain our strategy here?
So basically the strategy is to just go near Freaky and whack her with a sword. It's pretty much kind of, it's a bit of a snoozer, I would say, since we are all quite familiar, at least as speedrunners, on how to do this. But there are only, I think, 3 to 4 instances where we go far away from Freaky. So one is when she does the red orbs that tracks you, and a few other things that you will see. And we also have the Freaky Parry that I would say I discovered. So as you can see, that's just what Cave did. The melee cancels out Freaky's melee due to the sword's iframes. So yeah.
Yep, pretty much. I missed most of the parries. I did get one though. So earlier, while we got excited, if you saw this run during ADGQ in January, you may have noticed us do something called lockdown skip, which is where we skip required rooms where you're meant to sit there and kill enemies. And instead what we would do is just run up to the door we want to go to and, just run into it, and it would actually skip the lockdown. That was removed in the most recent patch, much to our chagrin. However, there is a very, very rare chance where you get like a specific room setup. So mind you, there's 2 different rooms. Each room has 4 doors, and you can walk out of one of those doors, and the other door can be the one you have to go through. So for any math people that are good with, probabilities or whatever, that's, I don't know. I'm done pretending like I know math. But it doesn't happen often. And there's only like 3 specific combinations out of those. 3's being generous. It's like 1.5 that work. And we almost never get it. And we got it there. So it skips the lockdown scene. So pros and cons with that. Pros is we save a lot of time because we're not having to fight the enemy that's in that room, which is a slow fight because we don't have the sword yet. Cons is that I usually use that room as a point to scan the health that I didn't scan at the beginning of the run. And also, it is a good point where we can maybe get horizontal barrage for the Freaky fight, which is by far the best alt fire. So right now, if I want to pick up health, I still have to scan it. But we're here to save time, so my health is looking all right. I'll probably be fine. At this point, our best point to get it where we can save time is biome 3, and if not that, then biome 4. Which is, when you say the word biome in Axe, each level is a biome. So we just finished biome 1, now we're in biome 2, which if you want to learn the speedrun, in my opinion, is the best place to learn DMJs. So you have all this open area, so it's nice to be able to chain DMJs together. But there's 6 biomes total, and we divide those biomes into 1 through 3 is Act 1, and then 4 through 6 is Act 2. And then there's an Act 3, which is like story related and involves a lot of composition, but we are not doing that today. Here we're picking up our next weapon, the Hollow Seeker. This is literally only used for this one boss fight, and after this we hope to never see it again. There we did L's second skip, which we just called Severed Skip now, as of like 30 minutes ago. That's essentially what we did is, in order to move us forward and to trigger that cutscene earlier, we shot at the Severed, and it automatically put us into the cutscene and moved us closer to it.
And just as something to talk about as Cave is approaching the next boss, you may have seen at the very beginning of the biome, Cave picked up 2 items. Their first one is called a calibrator. The idea there is it just basically catches your weapons up to kind of the level or the progress that you're at. And the second one is just a health vial, which as you may see is down in the lower left. That's like nice, easy health. That'll also kind of play a role in the upcoming boss fight where we try not to take damage. We're still sorting strats. That's what Cave was referring to earlier, but it is highly likely you'll take some damage with our current strats in that fight, so it's very, very good to have that.
Yo, real quick, if you know me personally in the chat, quick talk and smack. I got a bag.
I mean, they said you were a baller. I don't know what you want.
I got a bag. Oh, man. Anyways. Up here we have Ixion. Ixion, we actually have a strategy that Lunar was streaming prior to this run. And I think we found a faster Ixion during it. So hopefully I don't die doing it. But, we'll see. As of last time I did this game, we started meleeing Ixion. But now we realize there's a faster melee, which is neat.
And it's my fault if he dies, let's just be clear.
Yeah, no, let's be very clear. It's his fault for provoking me to do the faster strat now. So you can go ahead and talk about Ixion a bit.
So Ixion is, I would say, one of the more like up there in terms of challenging like enemies in the game, even in the base game. Yeah, like he like since the secret ending file, at least in GDQ, we devised a melee-based strategy again because of me, just because I'm obsessed with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what's gonna be coming here in phase 2 is what we call the auto scroller.
You better not mess with me, Lunar.
He's gonna be doing this pattern over here, and hopefully that would kind of decrease his health enough to stop.
Was that different?
Phase? It's
Yes, it
definitely
was
faster.
different.
Was that faster?
It was faster.
I'll take
Yeah.
I'll
was
take your
faster.
word for it.
This should convey to the chat, by the way, just in speaking about Returnal generally, we are still discovering things in this run, and it's pretty exciting. Like, there's been a lot of development in it recently, but one of the things we're talking about relative to this is, if you'll notice, Ixion is, for some reason, the only boss that actually has like a weak point, like a critical point on it that can cause the boss to stagger. And we think we're still kind of learning how that all relates in terms of ending the auto scroller segment. But it's this fight has sped up quite a bit since AGDQ and last ring fresh file.
So basically, the difference there is we're trying to melee the weak point instead of meleeing the feet, so the new strat was just meleeing period, and now the new strat is trying to melee the weak point specifically. I have no game audio, I don't know where he's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even notice that when you jump, at least in phase 2, you don't take damage. Because in phase 3, if you go near Ixion's sword arm, that is still buried in his chest, by the way, you would actually be damaged. I don't know how it is.
Wait,
that
are you for real?
Housemarque decided to.
Am I gonna get hit?
Yeah, like you weren't damaged.
I'm gonna get.
one?
Wait, I watched like one VOD 30 minutes ago. Am I gonna get hurt?
Let it be known. Let it be known to anyone trying these strats out, like we were saying about new tech. There is a gigantic hurt box on this boss
the
in the third
messed
phase
up, dude.
that
Makes
will
no
completely
sense.
destroy you.
Does way more damage than anything else in the game. Like,
Seriously.
alright, so there I went for just greedy melees at the end. Normally I take a little damage, but it's fine.
Yeah.
See, it works, Gabe. It's just two.
Never doubted. Was not nervous about that at all.
Never punish.
All part of
Here
the
we're
plan.
timing melees to to like deflect a lot of those. Here, we're gonna let Ixion get close to us because what he'll normally do is do a like teleport attack that's really annoying and like hard to hit him. So we walk up close to trigger the next bit of attacks, so that instead he'll do the 3 strikes again and DMJ away just for safety. Also, Shockstream, I forgot to mention, Shockstream is one of the better ult fires for this boss. Pace is a little nasty. I'm not gonna wait, that was a really good artifact too. Wait a second. This Act 1's gonna be crazy.
We're on a bit of a delay. Which artifact did you get?
Recharge and Overload, which is like the only good artifact for Nemesis.
Nice.
Unless you get proximity mine.
I don't think is that possible? Oh, whoops. That's the superhero Landon, for those that were, curious what I meant earlier. What we unlocked for beating Ixion was the ability to grapple, so you'll be seeing that a lot throughout the rest of this run.
Full iframes while you're grappling.
Very neat. So at the start of each biome, like Lunar mentioned, we get the healing item and the calibrator that catches us up. In this biome, we'll be looking for the carbine again. The Hollow Seeker is absolutely dreadful against Nemesis, and I'd really prefer not to do a pistol Nemesis. 1, because it's slower, and 2, because it's Carpal Tunnel incarnate. So, it's open.
The only saving grace of it, and what I was saying, the pistol, even though we don't have one, is the game does give you a pistol right before every boss. It's almost kind of like a pity thing. Like, did you pick up a horrible weapon? Okay, here you go.
Right. So there's no world where I walk into the fight with the Hollow Seeker. Like worst case, I just pick up the pistol at the very beginning. Okay, not a great start. Not a great start because we had one malignant chest at the beginning, which we don't bother opening up, and then the first one was a Hollow Seeker. Lunar, you stole my carbine luck.
I'm very sorry.
Also,
I got it.
Wait, Raptor said this. Oh wait, okay, I don't have to do this skip. That's right, it's right here.
No, yeah.
Chests. Are they both malignant? That's crazy.
This is.
It's gonna be a pistol nemesis on this pace, man. That's messed up.
Hey, maybe
What could have been?
Fast tower.
Oh, am I gonna get?
Maybe.
Oh, I get healthier though. That's cool. Okay.
To be clear, that isn't a GDQ. This has never happened before moment. That has happened a lot before. It's just really bad.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, sub 16 activating the bridge, super tight. Love that.
Yeah, this is very fast paced.
The Hollow Seeker, not tight. You know what? I'll be okay with Pistol Nemesis if we get Fast Tower. Not to jinx it or anything. Imagine I get neither though.
Sad.
It would be especially bad because we have a new L skip for the tower.
It's slow tower, so bummer, but
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Slow tower also stinks because it reduces our chest chances. This might be like the least amount of chest opportunities I've had in a run, and that's not hyper.
Don't you have the one chest opportunity behind that turret?
One more for sure. Behind the turret.
Yeah, like right before.
Is that
we're on a delay?
Wait, is it like?
Is
there a chest
in the
here?
3 gate room? Yes, there's the 3 gate room.
Nah, you're lying.
Like, or 3 gates in front of you. No, I guarantee you there's
here.
one. Yeah, I promise you.
Alright, well I skipped it anyways.
No, you're not there yet, but it's okay.
Yeah, there should be.
Okay, I know there's one here. I know there's one here. Oh, it's not malignant. We have one more shot. Absolutely slow, dreadful chest pickup, but oh my, we got it. Want to know something crazy? I've never gone on this side of the wall for. I always go on the left side because I'm lefty, so it's natural, you know. I don't think I've ever gone on the right half. We got carbine though.
Carbine.
So why we want carbine, we'll explain during phase 3 of this fight. But until we get there, Ellie, you can just start talking about Nemesis.
Nemesis is, I would say, one of the more spectacular fights in this one. It's really out here to wow you with its exploding factor, which you will see in phase 3. Definitely larger than life. Why? Like, I'm just making puns right now, okay?
No, keep going. You're good.
Broke my concentration here. But phase 1 is pretty basic. It's you have one platform, and then phase 2 happens, the platform breaks off.
Hopefully,
because there is a possible bug that may or may not happen. But fingers crossed.
Surely
in phase 3, the reason why carbine is important is because, again, there's that exploding factor, which once you will see, the carbine's shots will allow it to for your bullets to hit even so far away, which is good for us, especially since if you do get near Nemesis, more bullet patterns will come, and you don't want that because the more time you spend dodging is the less time you spend shooting.
Oh, no Nemesis glitch. It's blessed.
For you.
So Nemesis glitch, those platforms don't separate, and it makes like the fight way more obnoxious because it'll default to the cowardly strats where Nemesis thinks you're really far away and will use just like way worse attacks and dies way slower. So this is good stuff. I do appreciate that.
So for everyone in the chat who's tried to play this game in co-op in Nemesis and had bad experiences with glitches and stuff, it's not just you. There's some workarounds here and there, but it's something that really affects our run, so we're pretty thrilled to not see that happen here.
Agree. Believe it or not, Happy did not have time losing glitch happen. Maybe it's because I don't have game audio, but my rate of fire feels like super slow. Like I feel like my gun isn't shooting fast or doing damage.
It's because you're not aiming.
Oh, right.
Yeah, aiming is a strat here.
Oh,
Nemesis.
we didn't talk about language RNG.
Oh, gasp. Okay, now.
It's language RNG is just a running joke in our Returnal speedrunning community where at the beginning when you start a fresh file, you can choose your dialogue language and you can choose your text language. And as of recently, everyone started choosing combinations that they think will provide the best RNG. My personal go-to is Spanish dialogue and English text. I'm using it to try to learn the language that I've taken several years in college and totally forgot all of it. But I know we have some French dialogue, Portuguese, or no, it's French subtitles, Portuguese dialogue is what you two use.
That's the correct combination, but I'm not the world record holder.
Yeah,
so
again, maybe my opinion matters a little more, but we can reach past it.
I think so.
It's not a big deal. It's all the same.
Again, it came from me.
Complete meme.
So while I may not be, number one, everything
In our
originates
hearts.
from me.
Yeah.
I'm always there.
It's what the Discord's.
lingering.
It's what the Discord's saying. The Discord's saying L is the true number one time. A lot of controversy. Anyways, this is why we use Carbine for this fight. With Pistol, you have to actually climb the platforms closer. With Carbine, we just sort of hang out in the back. Only thing we gotta worry about is these yellow lasers.
Yeah, just the yellow and red tracking lasers. And if your platform does fall far enough, the game will consider it as a fall damage, which you do not want. But Nemesis is dead, so that's great.
You failed Senior Martinez.
Act 2.
What is that? That's like a 23:30, assuming I was like 145 before resetting. That's solid. 23:30 is fine. I don't know how I lost so much time. Where did I lose time? Oh, probably running back down to get the weapon. I don't know. Here we have a cutscene.
Possibly. Did you just throw that?
I got backups. It's like reloading the batteries on a controller. I'm ready to go. To answer fast and slow tower. Basically, the tower, the bottom half, there's two halves. Each half has two set paths. On the bottom half, there's one path that is really, really fast and one that is like 15-20 seconds slower. So we got slow tower there. Fast tower, you kind of just grapple straight past everything.
Keva, we also have folks talking about different strategies on Nemesis. This is a quick point to make that we also have an all bosses run, and in that format, we actually do get very up close to the boss. We use the shotgun, actually, with Narrow Maw and Rapid Spitter, and you literally just fall as close as possible to the boss, and it just demolishes them. So the strategy there changes based on the format.
We also very recently added an unrestricted category where it's just time in just the boss fight, and you can walk in with whatever you want as long as it's within like the bounds of the game. And people have been having a lot of fun with that recently. So if you're into just a specific boss, I implore you try it out. Anyways, here we are in Act 2, Biome 4. We're gonna pick up our last new weapon of the run, the Electropylon Driver, and we're really just hoping it's not Pylon Web, and we're hoping for decent damage. Okay, the damage is okay, and it's Pylon Web. So, now we're hoping for no lockdown so we don't actually unlock Pylon Web.
Time to break out the PowerPoint, kid.
On stream, whenever I get Pylon Web during my fresh file runs, I have a PowerPoint presentation on why Pylon Web is absolutely putrid. Just undesirable in all facets. There is no good part of Pylon Web, to put it lightly.
None.
That actually just done. So we're gonna hope we get all biome skips so that we don't actually have to use Pylon Web. But what pylon?
Yeah.
What the driver does is you put little pylons into the enemies, and it does passive overtime damage. So it just outputs the most DPS. So this is the gun we'll use for the rest of the run. We'll try to find driver upgrades throughout, but for the most part, this is it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Kay, but I wanted to make a point about unlocking, because Kay was talking about not wanting to unlock Pylon Web. To be clear, in the bottom left, that trait that you're seeing where it says Pylon Web, those unlock based on the number of enemies that you kill. So if you were to kill 10 enemies with it, then it would now start applying. That kind of affects our ability to, that's what you're saying about we really hope we don't get lockdowns, don't get other stuff, because then that might lead us to doing that. But if we don't get lockdowns, then the likelihood that we'll unlock it gets much, much less. So, that's kind of the end-game leveling system of sorts. And of course, we got a lockdown. This is the bane of Returnal speedrunners.
You know what, man?
Lockdowns.
It could have been worse. That first room was definitely lockdownable, and it wasn't. So I'm just gonna, you take what you get.
You do.
I'm just gonna try to not kill a lot of these sides. I'm bummed because I have such good health. I'm gonna lose all of it, which is gonna mess up, the Hyperion stuff. Anyways, oh my, no. Melee Hyperion Dream is... Melee Hyperion Dream's dead. If I'd be fighting Hyperion with Pylon Web... Oh, wait, this is actually so bad. Wait a second.
You're good, bro.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Not worried, for the record. Oh, is this not Pylon Web? It is.
Oh, it is.
So it is still Pylon Web, but also has a little more damage, so I'm just gonna grab it. Hopefully we find some health. That'd be super chill. Otherwise, we're doing really slow Hyperion. We're doing really slow Hyperion. Bit of a bummer. I really wanted to show off melee Hyperion because the strat is absolutely insane. But yeah, I do not have the health real estate for melee Hyperion. So we're gonna pass on it. And there's really no backup health sites in Biome 4. It's kind of just, don't get hit as you're playing through it. Anyways, here we have some new skips that you might get to see. I think this one is we jump on the parasite thing and we can grapple to the top.
This is, we call this Raptor Skip after Sawjar Raptor, another runner in the community.
We are not creative with our names. If you find a skip, you just get to put your name on it. Real Medal of Honor. And in a shock and turn of events, I have 0 skips to my name, so I just take everyone else's work. Oh, I have shock stream. I can't even use this. Oh,
yeah,
I'm so miserable. This is awful.
So, I
don't even.
It's terrible.
We were gonna have a whole Hyperion exploit. We can't even do it. Nothing to explain.
So
I don't even know how to do slow Hyperion anymore. What? I don't remember that laser.
So to be clear, the standard Hyperion strategy that we're doing right now is that Hyperion shoots bullets kind of out of the organ that he's playing at the back. It has a lot of cool thematic and story significance in the fight.
Yeah, super tight.
In the older strategy, which we're doing here, which is you pretty much just stand at the back and let the driver do the work for you. In the new strat, which again, it's pretty high risk, and to my understanding, we're still kind of sorting it out and fully optimizing it. But you do go up and you melee Hyperion because it is the highest DPS in the game.
It's such a cool
strategy. It's such a cool strategy, but the likelihood of getting hit is very high until I guess we foolproof it. But it's even more so than any other boss. So it requires you to go in with much bigger health bar than this, but it's okay, of course.
Yeah. So what's really cool is that it actually glitches out that first phase. Where he just stops attacking because you get through his health bar too quick. But here we are not doing that, and instead doing slow Hyperion. So there's a lot of things compounded that I got really bummed about. First is Shockstream is awesome for melee Hyperion. It is dreadful for Hyperion where I have almost no health and can't get hit because you got to be closer to actually use it. And there's just a lot of projectiles coming out that will probably kill me at this point. I can maybe take one if it's a weaker one. So we gotta do slow Hyperion, which I haven't done in months, to be since we've discovered melee Hyperion. I have absolutely zero practice in this strat anymore. But it'll be fine. And what led to
And
this?
there used to be...
Like what led to this is we got the one lockdown, which one lockdown of Biome 4 is awesome. Like I would take that, but because I have the pylon web weapon trait, which I don't think we even talked about weapon traits. We'll get to that once I'm done. Old man yelling at the sky. Basically, I didn't play that room safe because I didn't want to unlock pylon web by killing the enemies. So the result of that was me just taking a lot of hits for no good reason. Which is why I can't do melee Hyperion, because in melee Hyperion, phase 2 specifically, you just like have to take hits. But yeah, if anyone wants to talk about what weapon traits are, since we have completely neglected it, you can go for it.
I think I mentioned it earlier about how when you you kill when you kill 10 enemies, you unlock level 1 weapon traits, and so that's, again, as Kay was saying, that's what makes those lockdowns just way worse. We didn't have pylon web. It's kind of a compounding thing. I did want to note one thing and say, Rip Tendril Pod, there used to be a incredible time save for this boss, which you will see. Oh, nice! Oh, okay.
I'm kind of cracked at this game. Wait, I'm a little nuts.
Guys, that was sick.
Oh my god, I clenched so hard. Incredibly, impossibly hard.
If anyone here does a fresh fire run and gets Tendril Pod as their alt fire, hold on to it.
Also, please send us the
incredible. And send us the proof, because we used to be able to get it, and it was like, how much came? It was like a minute and a half.
Oh, I saved so much time. I actually can't even imagine melee. It was definitely before we discovered melee strats. I can't even fathom melee and Tendril Pod together.
It'd be so fast.
But yeah, we're like a minute behind world record now. I feel like if we did melee Hyperion, I think we'd be on pace, to be honest. But at this point, there's not a whole lot of time save left outside of like no lockdowns. So, now we're just in it for funsies. Now it's just not dying in this biome.
The best biome, right?
No.
The best one.
Like, anyways, go on.
This biome, so this biome actually does not have a boss. It's kind of a gauntlet scenario where there's 3 different gauntlets. One are the drones that I know many people really do not like from their casual playthroughs. If you're anything like me, they'll definitely mess you up. There's another, I guess it's just generally tough enemies, and the third is actually a kind of battle sort of arena room where you have to kill all enemies before it'll unlock. The kind of gimmick or something of this biome is that you have to beat all 3 without dying. You can't beat 1, die, then come back. Obviously, we're not dying at all, but
obviously,
it just shows. Yeah, obviously, surely not. But
no chance of that happening.
No chance. But the biome itself is the boss, is the point. So that should kind of give you some perspective on why we fear all these enemies and stuff. But
they all hit so hard. Leave me alone.
They hit really hard relative to there. And at the end of each one of these gauntlets, there's going to be a mini boss, or I guess the other yes. And so now we're at the mini boss.
I don't know why that didn't lock down, but we take those.
Yeah, we definitely take those.
Oh, those are malfunction missiles. That's not good.
Yes.
Oh, we haven't had malfunctions yet. Someone can talk about malfunctions.
Yeah, so malfunctions are, they're pretty cool in casual play. You can get them yourself, which is, with a random positive and negative debuff. But essentially these, if you see that orange health bar here, like on this enemy, that means that they are a malformed enemy, that they have 2 randomly chosen malfunctions. What Kay's referring to is the malfunction missiles, or as L has termed them, the downvote arrows. They come from. Oh wow! We got a fat damage upgrade.
That damage is so much worse. I don't care. I'll bring up the Pollen Web PowerPoint.
Don't tempt him.
Don't tempt him in a good time.
But those arrows that you saw, he said malfunction missiles. Those things will track you down from the opposite side of the level in a way that no other items will.
Has this room always been able to lock down?
Yes. It's just never happened to you.
It's one of those runs. It's one of those runs. One of those days where it's you Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. They also added shields to these guys in a recent patch. Thanks.
Oopsies. Oh, we're fine.
Nice.
All right. Well, we got like an impossible amount of lockdowns this run. I think. I take that back. I've had worse, but I definitely worse exists. I don't want to jinx future runs, so I'll say that that's fine, and we're all having a good time here.
Yeah.
Has it always been 2 malfunctions for the malformed enemies? I don't think I ever realized.
Yes.
Maybe I just assumed that the cold thing at the feet was like part of their shtick, you know?
Nah.
Like when comedians have the same stand-up routine. I thought that was the deal with these guys.
Pretty cool
and in general, see, I don't know if you guys saw those purple, when the thing slammed down, those purple lasers that were kind of crooked, you cannot dash through those. So that's why Cave's having to jump over those rather than otherwise. There is actually a fun glitch skip involved with these mini bosses where sometimes when they do that slam, they can actually slam entirely through the floor and disappear.
Yeah, which lets us lock down skip. It's sick.
which just lets us skip the lockdown immediately.
It's like the
obviously.
only I think I've only ever gotten it when I've had like Tendril Pod. I don't think I've ever gotten it otherwise. Which again, Tendril Pod definitely does not exist in Fresh File anymore, and would love to see otherwise. Okay, well that's an example of not being able to dash through those purple lasers.
Yep. And so this is the combat arena room.
Good dodge, even though you didn't dodge.
Look, I knew. It's like in the movie Dodgeball when he puts on the blindfold.
Yeah.
That was me. I'm just like Vince Vaughn
Also,
for
we
real.
are not. We're not going to pick it up here, but your kind of reward for finishing this is the Dreadbound. If you are playing this game and you have not used it before, it appears very weak at first. It's definitely the most powerful weapon in the game, so I highly recommend sticking with it. And it's a key component in many categories.
Yeah, not even especially close. Also, I know I picked this up because I said the damage. I was like, who cares about the worst damage? Like, I don't want Pile Whip. This worst damage isn't great. I'm gonna be honest. It's like really bad. It's like way worse than the last one.
But at least it's not Pile
But you know
Whip.
what? It's not Pylon Whip.
And I guess we didn't really talk about the golden rooms or the star rooms, treasure rooms, vault rooms. But this is that. Every biome has that, but this is mandatory for this. So it has 3 waves, getting quite, what's the word? Difficult for each wave, and you can only get out of there once you clear all of the waves. So with a bunch of severed too, but with a sword.
All right.
Not that hard.
We're past all the hard stuff. I think we're good now. As far as not dying goes. As far as good times go, that's out the window. But, you know, you win some, you lose some.
You came into that room half health and now you're full health.
Now I'm full
That's
health.
a win.
Some would call that a come up. So now we will enter the boss room of Biome 5, which Lunar has spoiled. It's not so much a boss as it is just a room with an upgrade. Nah, I mean the joke's been tried. You know, we've already.
Yeah,
The joke's been ran back twice already. There's certainly no reason to run it a third time.
And now we're heading into Biome 6, which is where you'll immediately see the underwater physics I was mentioning earlier with DMJ. You see these long, floaty DMJs that Cave is doing, just basically looping across the entire level. It's pretty cool, and this is... If this doesn't set you on DMJs, nothing will. It changes how you approach this entire part of the game, for sure.
Lots of fun. Especially when you're grinding out weapon traits and you just get to sort through.
Yeah, for sure. And this lets us do... There's lots of skips. Cave, it's the same room layouts at the beginning in Fresh File for B6 every time, right?
Like the first... I think the first room only. Then everything else after.
The first room? Yeah.
Everything else after is random. It's all mixed together.
But
let's just skip.
It's possible. Oh yeah, so this is a good example here. I was going to say that there's different Yes,
Nice.
there's different rooms that have really cool skips involved. That's one there. You're meant actually there to go down and go through a whole kind of portal area, but we're speed running. We're not trying to do that.
Here's the other one coming up. The
you
most
can
important
DMJ
one.
there. Yes, I'll let you talk about that. I don't want to mess up
So
your
there
concentration on
I
this one.
quickly look backwards because we mentioned the Mal 4 missiles that will chase you down. I've lost a bunch of runs because the Mal 4 missile will chase me there and hit me on that ledge and knock me down. There, we use DMJ to jump over that gap, which skips a mini boss and lets us unlock the ability to see these orbs flying in the air, which reveal platforms. So you're meant to go down there, fight the boss, take like a long way up, but instead we just DMJ the gap. And I did
Which
take
is great,
a
because-
safety quick glance behind me.
Yeah, those downvotes can really ruin your day, especially if it so happens reduces your dash or melee cooldown, which you do not want.
Right, because if that happens, we can no longer DMJ. We can, it's just like you can't chain them together like we've been doing. These are the enemies that
It's
shoot those
also
red
good-
missiles.
And it's also a good thing to skip that mini boss since it is very powerful. And I think it's hopefully this one doesn't wake up because it is in the key room as well here that we are approaching.
Brother. Move out the way.
Into it. There we go. Okay. Okay, it's still sleeping, so that's good.
Yeah, I will never figure out what caused him to wake up that one time, but it will make me check every time. Absolute problematic if that guy up top wakes up. He is a menace.
And so Cave just got the key that will open up the final boss door, which we're about to head into. This is Ophion, who, really enough for a final boss in a game that is widely perceived as pretty difficult, is actually kind of a pushover largely compared to although he can take your time.
Cool
That's
story
for sure. He can.
Great story, boss.
Oh.
Bad, this game's tough, boss, you know?
Yeah, most assuredly. Yeah, if you look at a later phase, you'll actually see Celine's face in the boss. Kind of weird.
If you die
Alternatively, it could
during a
also be her
run,
mother.
yeah, to answer one of the questions, if you die during a run, it depends what act you're in. So if you're in Act 1, you'll start back at Biome 1. If you're in Act 2, you'll start at Biome 4. And yeah, here's Ophion, if you want to talk about, just how you beat this boss out.
Yeah, so as you can see, there are orbs there. You can only see that because of the upgrade that we acquired earlier with that big jump. But after you get that orb, you then proceed to kill those, gun them down using your EPD. And because of the weapon that we have, is it a pylon weapon?
No, we don't have Pilot Web, it's the regular.
Okay, so you can be actually more accurate with it. So your, what do you call it? Like notches, your bullet notches.
Yeah, we can actually hit each
hit their
individual
marks.
point at the same time. So we just try to stick each point with one pylon, and they all hurt each other. This phase is a little tricky because he has two on like the lower legs of the tentacles that are a bit tough to see, and will oftentimes like not link up with the others. So we try to use our alt fire on those ones specifically to get those out of the way as quick as we can. But
Yeah, for some reason they linger often.
really
that
good boss fight.
point at the bottom there.
In here, as Ophion's dying, we're
Yes.
going to DMJ behind it because if you come down from the backside, it's just quicker to get to the hole that we're going to fall down. And that's the run, really. We're at the end. I'll let people know when time is. It's going to come up when we're going to like be DMJ into a big black orb as soon as the cutscene hits. Just in case I forget to count down after reminding myself. I didn't look at all for the, oops. So yeah, this is the fresh file run. We're gonna stop the timer in 3, 2, 1, time.
GG.
Didn't die.
You didn't.
Didn't
You
die.
didn't
That's
die.
the big one.
Man, what an incredible game. I have to say, I'm still so jealous that it's PS5 exclusive, and hopefully we can get a PC version very soon. But yeah, Cave, thanks again for running the game. Do you have any shout outs or comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, of course. So just wanted to shout out everyone that's in the Returnal Discord community for speedrunning. You guys keep having me come back by breathing life into the game and finding new stuff. Great group of people to talk to. If you want to join, you can feel free to either message either me, Elle, or Lunar, or find it just on the speedrun site. We've added a lot of new categories recently. Like I mentioned, we've added categories for individual bosses that people have been having fun with. And everyone's super willing to help out with if you're trying to learn any of the strats or categories, or even we don't really dabble in tower high score runs, but we do have tower speed runs that are pretty fun. And yeah, Elle and Luna, if you guys got any shout outs?
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, Elle.
That awkward.
It was like, which one's first? Go ahead, Elle. Go ahead, Elle.
But yeah, shouting myself out because I'm awesome, but joking aside, shouting out to, again, the Returnal speedrunning community, and actually, the mandatory Celine squad that really started me from, made me begin my streaming journey. But other than that, I'm kind of shouting out the people who have not yet played this game but want to, because we're looking forward to you being here. And new people who are just really diving into the game, no matter how quote-unquote late it is. And if you do want to get into the speedrunning community, we welcome you with open arms.
Yeah.
And yeah, just reiterating what Cave and Elle are saying, Returnal, obviously we're huge fans of the game, but I know it can be a little bit intimidating to some folks, especially on the casual playthroughs. First of all, it's not just you. It is a difficult game, but everybody in this community is thrilled to welcome anyone, help you out, setting up files for different categories, all sorts of stuff. But it's a lot of fun. And as you guys have seen, and even through our conversation, talking about an hour ago, there is a lot left to discover in this game. We're still figuring it out, and we would love to have you be a part of it. So definitely check out the Returnal Speedrun Discord on SRC, and we hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.
Also, we all speedrun the game, so if you want to follow any of us, and if you're, if you liked what you saw, we do a lot of that.
Yeah, I had a great time with the three of you here tonight. So thank you so much for being here. And yeah, if you do want to follow everybody, I will post those links in the chat. So there you go. Everyone's included. And yeah, that's going to finish off our episode of Time Capsule for tonight. If you are watching this on YouTube from the future, be sure and press the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in watching our shows live, make sure you go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern, weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow we have speedruns from the Crypt starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, and our hotfix show, No Category Left Behind, will return 2 weeks from now at its normal time, 7 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching Time Capsule. I've been your host, Smooth Operative. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.